Many people ask me, what's the most important part about climbing to you, and what was the thing that you remember the most? It's the people. It's really the people that I have spent time with and spent time in this intense environment with, and the relationships I developed and the trust I developed. For me, in mountaineering, trust really is the glue to everything we do, and I think you all can relate to that on a business level. I mean, if you don't trust someone, you know, it doesn't work.
Michael O'Donnell, a world-class mountaineer and corporate trainer, building teams, building businesses, changing lives.
For the first time, I used the 10-step business plan that I use with corporations to try to bring these guys together. I mean, you have 12 guys here, and I call them 12 crank and testosterone machines, who basically had to figure out a way to get it together, bring it together, create a sense of clarity, focus, and most importantly, trust, because we really had to get it on the table if we were going to make this audacious thing happen.
And Michael O'Donnell made that audacious thing happen. In May 2001, against enormous odds, he made one of the most daring ascents in the history of mountaineering, guiding the first blind climber ever to reach the summit, Eric Weinmayer. For Michael, Eric, and their entire team, it was a formidable 2-month quest, posing incredible challenges.
There are avalanches coming off what's called the Lola, and when this picture was taken, Eric and I were just to the left of that spike. See the center pole of the prayer flags? We were right there, and this thing came roaring off. And I remember Eric stopping behind me, and he looked around and he goes, "Is that an avalanche?" And I said, "It ain't a train." And it ain't a train. And something the size of 2 city blocks had broken off and came roaring down. And he looks at me and he smiles. He says, "I can't run. What are we going to do?" And all I could do was tell him to cover his face with his hat. We pull the hats over our face so you don't breathe the snow. And we turned our backs directly at that avalanche. And when it hit us, it knocked us about 70 feet. Just boom, the air blast just sent us flying. We tumbled on the rocks and we ended up laying there. And it wasn't really like we got buried, we got dusted. And I remember Eric sat up and he shook himself off, pulled the hat off his face, and he says, "Is it over? So let's go." I mean, I'm laying there, my eyes are this big because I'm watching this wall of snow. I get the full visuals. He got no visuals. So I got all the visuals and I couldn't move for a couple minutes. And he was just, "Okay, let's go." And he was ready to go.
With his expertise as a personal life coach and corporate trainer, Michael O'Donnell helped build one of the strongest Everest teams from 12 individual climbers. His main focus, personal development, the most important part of team building.
This was where we were going to do the workshop I spoke of, and this workshop really did achieve everything we wanted. It was basically a business strategic development plan, which I used. And I made these poor guys who don't even want to go there sit down in this tent, and for 10 hours we hashed it out. And there was some real issues. These are 12 strong individuals. And it was like the merger of like 12 businesses, because all these guys are very, very successful. And PV, the leader in the back corner, he owns 3 of his own oil research companies. So we had some real egos flying around in that tent, I gotta tell you, including mine. I mean, I've been doing this 30 years. In the end, we had over $300,000 of corporate money given to us. $300,000. That bought all the best gear, all the best food. It really did. But it really, honestly, as tacky as it sounds, it did not buy trust. We had to sit down and make that happen. Now the rest of the team was racing up the ice fall to catch up with us, and they all got here, and it was just this flurry of activity. Let's get going, let's go to the next camp. And I put my arms out literally, it's like, whoa, whoa. I forced him to sit there, slow down, and take a break. We were now far ahead of schedule. Why not take a look around at what you're doing for once? So many climbers are so focused on what's there, where are we going, that what's going on around them doesn't matter. And I finally caught myself. Sherm Bowl, the 64-year-old man that did this with us, his wife was telling him before he left, "One thing I want you to do is come back alive. But number two, I want you to stop and smell the roses. For once in your life, for gosh sake, stop and smell the roses. You know, there's something I do with businesses. It's called the cycle of productivity, where you create a plan, you do the plan, and it's completion of the plan, and then in the circle, you forget about the last part. You just go right back over to the creating part. You don't celebrate. And I believe that celebration is how we recharge our batteries. And I think it's prevalent in our culture. It's definitely prevalent in our organizations. So that's what made me think of it up here. So I just put the brakes on and said, let's have a party for a day. Look around and enjoy what we just done. Celebrate the success. Look at it for what it is. Learn from it, and then move on. That's how we recharge our batteries.
Michael O'Donnell, building teams, building businesses, changing lives. A highly respected mountain guide with more than 30 years' experience, Michael works with Fortune 500 companies all over the world, providing top executives with tools to build better teams and effectively manage risk.
But you know, mountaineering really is not about taking risks. I know it looks that way. I know it looks like we go out there and we just throw the dice and try to make it happen. We don't do that. Mountaineering is about taking all your experience and knowledge and reducing those risks in any way that you can. But this place, the Icefall, is all about risk. It's pure risk. And in an element like this that can't be trusted, the only thing you have is human trust, literally. Human trust, experience, and knowledge is the only thing you can rely on when you go through an area like this. We only had each other. You know, in Latin, the word mediocre literally means halfway up the mountain. That's what it means. And many of us, in many organizations, especially after September 11th, we're lulled in this false sense of security and illusion halfway up our personal and our organizational mountains all over this country. Now, you just saw it. You just saw it up here. Often the last steps to the summit offer the greatest challenges. They do. But when those steps are taken with trust, commitment, caring, and a sense of something bigger, a cause, they will always lead to something great. That's for sure. Now, if our team can climb that mountain, get together, put that process together, stick to that process, and climb that mountain, then any team can do the same thing in any way. The search for excellence, I believe, in all of us and our organizations must be an absolutely never-ending process. It must never end. To look for what you're finally looking for and continue to strive for what it is you're looking for is our ultimate goal.
Michael O'Donnell delivers high-impact multimedia presentations, each customized specifically for the audience. Relying on his experience as a top-notch mountaineer and team builder over 3 decades, Michael provides the strategy, insight, and motivation for business executives who want to take their own teams to the top.
What is failure? I mean, what is it? I've failed at numerous climbs. I've failed at business ventures. I failed at relationships, but that wasn't my fault. Those weren't my fault. But really, the only real failure we have, and I believe this truly, is the failure of the will to endure. It's to get back up after we tripped, after we stumbled, however that is, to stand back up and keep walking down that path. That's success. If we don't do that, if we don't have that will, really, I believe that is the only failure we have.